Well, it says I'm live. Am I live or is it Memorex?
Oh no, tells me I'm waiting for Piggy. Hey, there you go.
All right. Again, I say, this thing says I am live. Am I live or is it Memorex? We're talking about some wind blowing.
No, fix it
Joe,
for
fix
you.
it for you. Howdy. PSP, Linda, Melinda. Chappie was in here earlier. Party!
Hey, kids.
How you doing? You know, it's kind of funny. I was telling Elaine earlier, I get in some lives, there'll be folks, and you can tell it's the men, and they saying hi back to me. I don't guess they know me yet, but you can kind of get the feel of what they've said and how they said it. They think I'm a woman, you know, so they being kind of friendly when they're saying howdy. Later get in there and say, yeah, Piggy's my husband. You can just imagine the looks and expressions on the faces of those who thought I was a woman trying to say howdy to me in a friendly way. It's like, hi, how you doing?
Oh my.
Boy, I got a surprise for you.
Be like crocodile Dundee. That Shayla's a man.
Oh, wait, that's a Sheila. Ooh.
Yeah, that Shayla's a man. That's right. Oh my.
Like the song says, dude look like a lady.
Um,
Well, thank you, Linda. But no, what it is people like to assume. And with the name like Piggy's Fiddles, there are some that would assume that means, oh, there's a woman behind that name. I used to have an email on Yahoo and chats. Men would hit me up thinking I was a woman because of the name I used. And everything short of showing a picture of me, I tried to convey. I said, look, dude, you might want to think I'm a woman because of the name, but this ain't no woman talking to you. Lord have mercy. They made the assumption because they was wanting other things and they was going to be dang if they didn't get what they was looking for because they was that hard up and desperate. My good gracious. Well, the chicken farm. Howdy, Rita.
Hi, Miss Rita. I like your porch on you. Put the chicken farm building there. Mr. Terry did a good job.
Yeah, don't try to rush him too much. He might tell you to finish it up yourself. I saw that one where you was telling we all need to tell him to hurry up. I won't.
I think he did a good job. I looked at Facebook a while ago and saw a picture of Miss Linda standing on the porch.
Oh,
Tell everybody to welcome in.
Miss Linda.
Well, not Miss Linda, but Miss Rita.
Okay, I was going to say that the other one was falling down. Well, that's understandable. Probably been there for long enough to justify itself saying, I'm done. Adios. Well, let's see. What's everybody up to tonight? Now, I know it was 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
There's going to be some channel doing a giveaway on something on one of the collaborations that have been going on.
You know, Kettle Kitchen at 6.
Okay, Kettle Kitchen. So I know there'll be some of you be taking off for that. That's all right. Go win me something. And there'll be those who are probably uh, getting ready to sit down and get ready to be in that live so that they can try and win something. Elaine will probably be doing double duty over here so that she can be involved with that at the same time because she's got an interest in that.
I
So,
bake cake.
huh?
I said, I bake cake.
And I helped.
Yes, you
Shake
did.
and bake.
He helped by eating the cake.
Yeah, but we had to enlist some help on finishing the rest of it.
I'm saying it's good, but it's rich.
Remember, said she's gonna go eat after this live chat.
How many of y'all went and eat after my live chat last night?
And then we should be having Dale's devotional after this.
Yeah. Dale will be going live at 7 Central, 8, 6 Central, 7 Eastern. I'll get it right in a minute.
Right. Going to have tacos for myself. This ain't Tuesday.
The tacos sound good though.
Well, I'm still full from the little things you made for your video for tomorrow. So,
Those were filling.
yeah, watch her video tomorrow. She made a little quick something. You know, it's the end of the month, so we scrambling on what to put together. So we run out to the store to get a few couple little simple things, and she threw something together. That's right, Linda. It's Sunday. Taco Tuesday is on Tuesdays. That's when you're supposed to have the tacos. Yeah. So anyway, Dale's devotional's coming up, and that's the only reason why I decided to hit the brakes on mine and not go longer. Because if I really put a little effort into it, I'd probably go a lot longer just sitting here and gouge jack about nothing for a long time. But Dale had his devotionals coming up that time, so
He really likes Dale's devotions.
I do. So I hit the brakes and say, okay, we're gonna call it short.
I like Dale's devotions. I
And,
don't interact in the chat because I'm listening to him.
right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't interact as much in the chat on his because same thing. I'm listening to him. But he got a good way of putting it. And I know it's coming from God the way he's put it.
That'd be my son to go to meeting.
But I got enough for Tuesday and Thursday also for myself.
What?
She said she's also got enough for Tuesday and Thursday.
Enough for Tuesday and Thursday. Okay.
Also. Well, I guess that's kind of like breakfast. I eat breakfast for any meal.
He likes breakfast.
It's a good meal. You can have it for breakfast. You can have it for lunch. You can have it for supper. You can have it as a late night snack.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just an all-star player on the field for meals.
I'm saying. That's good stuff.
It is. Yeah, I was sitting here talking to Elaine about that earlier. We went out to the store to get that stuff and come back and got talking about that. And I told her, I said, it's kind of funny. I said, you can tell by it. I sense things. My feelers are very sensitive for picking up on different things. Yeah, I can just tell by the way somebody puts something. You know, kind of where they're coming from on things. There'll be some guys, they'll say howdy back to me in there, and you can tell it's got that vibe that he thinks he's talking to a woman. Guess what, dude? You gonna be awful disappointed.
Nope.
And just like I was on Yahoo when I used to have a Yahoo account and the email I had. And you know, And it's one that could be taken either way because the name was "They Are Gray Blue for You." Talk about my eyeballs because they're gray blue. You know, you looking at them, they're you looking at them. They are gray blue for you. A lot of men on there, they come out of them chats. Ooh, how are you? Hubba, hubba, hubba. Dude, they ain't here what you want to think there is. You gonna get really disappointed.
Yeah, and they get really disappointed when I go on there and tell them that Piggy's my husband.
Yep. Yeah, but you really don't hear anything from them anymore after that. You don't see them pop up in there. You're like, where'd they go?
Read this on his comment.
Yeah. Well, if they were cents, CENTS, like I said, bring it on. The more pennies I get, the better. They add up to dollars.
Yeah, kitties on top of the box. They like climbing high. They can see everything when they go high. Swinger.
Yeah. I couldn't see her over there. Oh, there she is. Okay. I get backwards in this thing, so it's hard for me to spot what's what. Well, Linda, if there was money involved in it, those pennies and everything, cents, I might let them throw them along, let them think whatever they want to, as long as there was some pennies coming to it, make dollars. It's not like they'd have ever found me. Oh, yeah, we did that so that we'd have a video made for her tomorrow.
Mhm.
I went in there and I changed one of the lights around so that I could turn it on without having to turn both of them on. So I have me a light directly over the sink for when I'm doing dishes. Because here lately of a morning, I go in there and do the previous day's dishes, what few or many there may be. I can go in there and turn that one light on. I don't need any other. And it'll be right over the sink so I can see better.
Yeah.
Got that done. And we got to try to get some things together so that either I can do an oil change or get an oil change next month because I got a little thing to change oil soon on my little dashboard thing. Get close to that time. But if I can get me a few little things together, I might find me a spot to do it and see if I can't do it myself this time. And I do have a floor jack and I got some jack stands. I can jack it up, put it up stands, see what I can do about it. And with it getting warmer, I might be able to do it. I'll need to make sure I got me a 10 millimeter. That oil plug is 10 millimeter. I got to make sure I got me a good one and a good ratchet that don't come slipping off. I might just get me a good boxed in 10 millimeter. Do it that way. Might see about I knew the name of it earlier, had it on my mind.
I have no idea.
Torque gauge, torque wrench.
Oh, I have no idea.
Backtrack hooligans.
Hey, Backtrack, welcome in.
And maybe get me a torque wrench and find out what the torque needs to be on it when I tighten it back down. So maybe see if I can't pull off doing the oil change myself. I know how to change the oil filter on it. It's on top. It's not that big a deal.
That's easy compared to everything else I can figure.
It's on the top of the engine. You looking at the engine, it's on the top to the right. You get certain size. Josie!
Hey, Josie, welcome in.
And you get the right socket, loosen it up, and you get the right filter to go under there, and all you do is just undo that nut, pull that casing off, pull the old one out, put the new one in, put it back down, tighten it back down, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, oil filter, not air filter. I can do the air filter too, that's simple enough. Cabin filter I can do.
Yeah, you've already done that one.
Yeah. Might need to pull it out and make sure there ain't nothing got pulled in on top of it. But the first time I changed it, we've had it for a while, a few years. And the first time I did it, the cabin filter hadn't never been changed. When I pulled it out, it had all sorts of leaves and junk on top of it. Even had a piece of leaf down in the fan part where it pulls air in. I had to get that out because it was making a bicycle spoke, playing card bicycle spoke type noise. So we was trying to figure out what that was. And I thought, I'll bet. So I reached down in there and felt around. Sure enough, there was one down in there, and I was able to pull it out. Then cleaned that filter out until we could get a new one. And then when we got the new one, I changed them out. If I get to need an air filter, I'll change it out too. It ain't that big a deal. The oil filter ain't that big a deal. The only thing that's a big deal is me having to get down on the ground to crawl up under something. That ain't so easy no more.
No, Piggy ain't as limber as it used to be.
Yeah, it's rather difficult nowadays. Right? Ring his bell, ring, ring, dangle, dangle. Dangle, dangle, jangle, jangle, dangle.
That's it.
Hurry, what's that pooch up to? Abby!
Hey, Abby.
See, they're having all these other animals willing to sacrifice themselves for the piggy.
So how'd you do fishing, Abby? Not Abby. I can't talk.
Well, apparently he did pretty good. He got an 8-pound walleye. That's what he was saying. He said, "You better thank Jesus. He took you off the menu for a little while. He gave me an 8-pound walleye in your place."
Oh, beans.
Hey, I thought that's what I was supposed to be doing. Fiddling.
I'm the one that's been piddling lately. Ain't been doing much of nothing.
It'd be wet and dry. Temperature up and down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. People talk about it. I tell them, yeah, Mother Nature's going through that change. She's in that time of life. She's having hot flashes and cold flashes.
Well, Piggy knows I'm having hot flashes and cold flashes because when I'm cold, I'm cold. When I'm hot, it's like you can just take and scrape water off of me. I'm that bad.
Yep. In case y'all wondering, that was Swinger that just got up on a little table behind me because I've got a bag of dum-dums back there and she's awful interested in what's in that bag.
What are you doing over there, sister?
But sometimes there's chips up here, and these kitties love chips. So she wanted to find out what's in that bag. Maybe it's a chip.
Oh, they do love potato chips, corn chips, potato chips.
I was hearing a noise yesterday and couldn't figure it out, but it sounded like a bag crumbling. I thought you had everything in there, and you had your lights off over here and everything. I thought I looked over and I looked hard. Fancy was over there trying to get into that pork skin bag.
And there's maybe 2 or 3 little pork skins left in there.
Yeah. Backtrack said, got all my emails done and sent for media passes this year. Cool. I said it's fishing in windy weather with wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. More power to you, Abby.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm kind of like this with that. You know, I wouldn't go parachuting. I wouldn't see the sense in jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. Not that I would get into an airplane to begin with. You know, I ain't gonna get out there in some cold wind when I can sit here in a perfectly decent house, well, at least decent walls to block the wind a little bit, and all that. Piggy don't like to be cold. And no, Avid, that is not an invitation for saying I want to be in that smoker.
And said he got sand blasted yesterday.
Who?
Having.
Oh,
He was saying it's a 30-mile-per-hour winds.
yeah.
Gust, 30-mile-per-hour.
Well, you want to get sandblasted. Be in the desert in California in 29 pounds. What do they call those winds? A sand something. Uh, I can't think of what they're called now. But anyway, it's an extremely hot sandstorm, more or less. Happens every year, certain time of year. And I'm here to tell you, you're gonna feel like you're in a sandblaster and hot.
Mm-hmm. One sandy beach that was over a mile long.
Yeah.
I agree. Backtrack. It's still too cold. Do anything like that for me too. I don't want to get out in cold weather. I just want to stay inside. Thank you very much.
Right. I never was much of an outdoorsy person. I could survive out there, but I never was much of an outdoorsy person. I wasn't brought up fishing. I wasn't brought up hunting. I wasn't brought up being about none of that. Wasn't brought up really knowing much about it at all, really. It's just something that I'd heard of. The camping and all like that. No, not boys. It starts sand something winds. They are mean. But yeah, backtrack. When I went out to 29 Palms, California desert, spent all but my boot camp days out there. Uh, it ruined my cold tolerance. It's been 40 years this year since I went into the Marine Corps. And this year, I was finally able, I spent until 88 out there, January 88. And it took until this past fall and winter for me to finally get to where I could stand temperatures down in the 50s without a jacket. That's been all winter. I can't right now. But I've done real good this year. But up until this past year, if it was 70 or below, I had a jacket of some type on.
Oh yeah. You got a full on thick coat.
Yeah, yeah, because it was just that cold to me. I mean, out there in the evening time, it could be 90 degrees and it felt like a nice cool evening at 90 degrees. So coming out back out here, 70 degrees, I had me a jacket on.
That's what's funny is that used to Piggy be wearing the jackets all the time, and I'd be burning up. And now I freeze, and he's comfortable.
Yeah. Tish, I was in there for just a standard 4. My contract was a 6-year contract, 4-year active, 2-year inactive. Uh, During relative feast time, so I was a non-combat vet. Uh, but one of the reasons I got out, I could tell that even then that my body was starting to fail me. Uh, so I loved the Corps, and actually showed that I loved the Corps. It was time for me to get out because I would be a weak link in my unit, and my unit didn't need that. uh, while I was out there, went to boot camp. When it came time to get told what my MOS was going to be, got told I was going to be a radio operator. My senior DI looked at me and said, "Life expectancy, 3 seconds." I looked at my senior DI and said, "Hoorah." That was a whole 1.5 seconds longer than the officer that would be next to me because they look for the radio and they shoot the one beside the radio because they know that's the officer. Then they get the radio. So, yes and no. uh, in hindsight, it was a lot of good experiences. At the time, I didn't really enjoy it. I was still young and dumb, hadn't really figured out who I was or who I wanted to be or anything like that. But when you're running from God, you're doing things you're not supposed to be doing, no how. And but God will still use those things because He already knew you was going to do it to help mold you into what He got for you to do for Him for His purpose. So I'd already decided I wasn't going to make it a career. And a lot of personal psychological things go with that, but I worked those out. But Adventure America, howdy.
Adventure America, walk me in.
So I was good at what I did. And like I said, my body was failing me. I was falling behind on runs, couldn't really keep up on humps. So they kept me fapped out. That's an acronym for basically loaned out to TWECG. Tish, there'll be some I'll let you know, there'll be some I won't. TWECG was Tactical Exercise Evaluation Control Group. And I got to come to know a few officers through that. Well, I wasn't good at the physical stuff. Couldn't figure it out. Now, when I went in, they asked me if I had asthma. I said, well, I was told I had a touch of it. I said, that's all I know about it. So they said clear on that. But it turns out I actually do have asthma. And I've got a couple of birth defects and found that out when I had my surgery when I was around 50 years old with my neck. So the fact that I made it through boot camp is a miracle in and of itself. And the fact that I was able to somewhat make it through the FMF is another miracle.
I'm gonna be in and out of chat.
Okay. Gonna ask Elaine what? Oh, what did you cook today?
I cooked. Um, it's basically egg cups. It's you beat your eggs up like scrambled eggs, and I chopped up some cooked sausage and I put some cheddar cheese in it, and I cooked them in a muffin tin and baked them in the oven, and started with some canned biscuits. I did simple, quick, and easy this morning.
Basically, she made sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits this morning, or this afternoon, I should say.
Yeah.
And they were awesome. The sausage, egg, and cheese looked like a muffin coming out of that muffin pan. And then I put me some jelly on my biscuit and smashed one of them things in between the biscuit. And oh man, let me tell you,
Put some jelly on it. It was real good with that grape jelly.
I'm saying. But anyway, that was why my body was failing me back in the Marine Corps, even though I didn't know that at the time. But I was real good at driving, and I was real good at driving them radio jeeps and doing the radio thing. And the funny thing is those in my platoon, Mama Bear,
Hey, Mama Bear.
those the higher ups in my platoon would call me a SH bird because of that. But when it came for time for those underneath me, same rank but less time in grade, come up for corporal promotions because they were going to re-enlist everything. Guess who they sent them to make sure they knew what it was to be a Marine and a radio operator? Me, because I was the one who knew his stuff. Otherwise, I was just a S-bird and a sea lawyer. They call me a sea lawyer is somebody who ill advise folks on what's up legally within the Marine Corps. Problem is I knew what was up, I knew the facts, and I knew the regulations, and they knew I knew it. But they was wanting to do things other ways, and they didn't want the other ones coming up to know, like I did. That's all right, Joe. Do what you got to do. Life don't stop for no one. Under the radio I operated, we had 109s, 110s, but we also had the 138. The 138 was a piece of AM gear that would reach halfway around the world. When I was out on field ops, I had frequencies that I could put in and I could listen to Nightline Africa, BBC, something out of Russia, and other places. So I kept myself entertained. I was always by myself. Suited me just fine. Melinda, if you're going to be in the live, I guess you can't turn a lot of stuff off. Uh, well, the only thing I can say to that is the phone is primarily a phone. So when you get a call, all other functions are subordinate to the phone program on your phone.
You can go to your notification in your settings. If you know where Do Not Disturb is, it's different places, different phones. Sometimes it's under notifications, sometimes it's under sound. If you click the Do Not Disturb and turn it on, it will reroute your phone calls to send them to voicemail or whatever to where it will not cut you out of what you're doing on live streams. I keep ours on Do Not Disturb when we're doing lives for that particular reason.
Something for you to look into. Mm-hmm. Which part, Purdy? It was interesting. Oh.
Had to take it. Yeah, I understand that.
But yeah, I'd keep myself entertained out there. One of the first times, this wasn't with TWCG, but my higher ups in my platoon like to try to keep me hid away because I wasn't good on the runs, I wasn't good on the humps, all like that. But the beginning of my becoming a desert rat was when an officer had come down there and he went into the office and he was looking for a radio jeep driver to take him out in the field. He was a captain. All right, backtrack. You take care and take him out into the field so that he could observe his unit and how they performed on an exercise. Or no, that wasn't it. It was when we took a we was taking an airborne unit out to a certain part of the desert, and there's one part of the fire range out there called Lake something. And it's because approximately 10,000 years ago, or so they say, it used to be a big Great Lake. Trust me, folks, when I tell you, it gets a little rain, it remembers. We went out there, and he was wanting to be in a hurry. We got out to a certain spot, and he got contacted and said, "Okay, we're here." I have no idea where that airborne unit was. I had 20 miles of visibility anywhere I looked. I never saw a soul, but they were there.
If y'all hear rattling in the background, I'm eating M&M's, y'all.
Joy said the Zoom Marine Corps lawsuit is a lie. Well, Miss Joy, you would know if anybody would.
Mm-hmm.
So we went out there and got to a certain point when it was time to turn around. He was in a hurry. He wanted to get back because he didn't want to be out there in the dark because of the location we were in. We had to wait 3 days before going out there because it had rained for about 3 days. That area remembered being a lake. 3 days later, it was most of the way dried up, but there was still these large dark patches. I had no idea what they were, but they were huge. And so I didn't see them going out there because daylight, you couldn't really see it. At nighttime, when the light's hidden, you can tell there was big dark patches. No idea what they was. So I going along, I had that little Jeep pegged out all the way it could go. Third gear, just getting it. And well, I was getting around most of those dark patches. I'm doing about 60 miles, about 55, 60 miles an hour. All of a sudden, one of them things opens up right in front of me. There's nowhere to go. I couldn't go left. I couldn't go right. I mean, it was just a huge expanse just right in front of me. So I hit that thing. And as soon as I hit it, my Jeep went, "Duh." Here I went, shifting down, second gear, duh, first gear, duh. Ain't supposed to do it, but I did shift on the fly, 4-wheel drive that thing. Laid on the gas. Finally got through it. Once I got through it, pulled off the side, stopped, as if you pull off the side of the desert. I mean, you got desert, it's everywhere. Where you going to pull off the side to? Anyway, got stopped, and captain come out, got out the Jeep. I got out the Jeep. He come around the Jeep to the driver's side where I was at. We both leaned up against the Jeep, pulled out a cigarette, lit it up, took his puff, and captain said, "Sanford," excuse my language, y'all, but said, "Sanford, where in the hell did you learn how to drive like that?" I said, "I'm from Northwest Georgia, sir." He said, "Enough said." After that, officers started coming to the shop. Next thing I know, the staff sergeant, Sanford! Yeah, what do they? They tell me that, that I'm going to be doing this for so long and all like that. Okay, go get your stuff. Okay, go get my stuff. Get ready. Yeah, go do that and go out with this particular officer to go out in the field to do this or do that. But it got to a point, they stick their head out the office and yell my name. And I said, yeah, who, when, where, what, and how long? They look at me strange and said, how did you know? I said, I'm just good like that. So anyway, they started sending me out to PWCG and drove for some officers there. There was a time there that had these two captains I drove for once. And at one point while I was driving for them, we had to go out to the air wing portion of the base. We got out there, you got quants and huts out there. We got out there and lined up. I saw these Jeeps lined up. 3-star, 2-star, 1-star, full bird, full bird, full bird, lieutenant colonel, on down the line. I slung my Jeep sideways about 100 yards away from those Jeeps, and I said, gentlemen, that's just a little bit too much brass for this old desert rat. They laughed and said, that's all right, Sanford. We need to walk, stretch our legs a little bit anyway. And at another point, we was out in the desert. Now out there we call them hills. Out here you call them mountains. But we had to go up this one hill, and it wasn't nothing but these big, huge, flat gravel rock, huge things, layer upon layer upon layer. I went up that thing one way, and I got it as far as I could get it to go up because it was just sliding on them layers of rock. And well, on the way down, and they got done doing what they was having to do. We got to see live fire that night. That was something to see. They had live fire going down range through this one valley there. And they had the tracer rounds. There's so many tracer rounds, that entire valley was lit up like daylight from the tracer rounds. Anyway, we got done with all that. They were ready to go back down. Well, now this hill was next to another hill. They went down together like this down in the middle. Keep that in mind. We're going down. Well, it's all I can do. I've got it in 4-wheel drive. It's all I got. I can do because we're going down kind of like this. We're going down, but we're going sideways and going down the other way too at the same time. I kept seeing visions of the Jeep down there in between the two hills going. One cap sitting in the front. The other captain that was sitting in the back, he decided to get a little mouthy. Sanford, you ain't got to try to scare the hell out of us. I said, scare the hell out of you. It's scaring the hell out of me. He shut up. Didn't hear another peep out of him, even after we got down off that hill. Because they knew I had skills, and it was taking every one of them to get us down that hill safely. He figured after that, he might ought to shut up and let me concentrate on what I knew how to do. So we got down the bottom of the hill, went on, got back out of the field. Folks, it was 6 months before I would get behind the steering wheel of anything. That's how bad that little incident scared me. Because literally, I kept seeing myself in a ball of flame, the Jeep down in between both those hills. Because I was going sideways as much as I was going down the hill. And the Lord was with me. He let me get it down. 6 months later, I was back to driving again. But I wouldn't get behind the wheel of nothing. Not a Jeep, not a car, nothing. That was scary. And But I had all sorts of officers. Then I had some trouble with my platoon. They were going to try to get me on a catch-22. They wanted me at one formation when I was supposed to be required to be at another formation for the regiment for some things going out. And full bird colonel over the regiment, he signed a meritorious mass for my performance because my people I was working for at the time had put me in for it. And so some of my platoon was going to try to get me on catch-22 and get me as UA, unlawful absence, because I wasn't going to be at a formation for them. So I told those that I was working for directly what was going on. As I understand it, the full bird colonel of the regiment called those folks up for a meeting with him. I can imagine y'all know how that went, because they didn't bother me after that. So, I imagine they got their butts chewed one way or another in ways they didn't even know existed. Because he wasn't just talking about a colonel, a lieutenant colonel, or a new colonel. A colonel in charge of a regiment, he's salty. He's got some years under them wings on that bird. And he those the officers that I was working for, and all that, talked to the regimental commander, full bird colonel, and he wanted to have a meeting with those trying to give me a hard time. Oh yeah, nice to have folks in high places. There's another example of that. There's a friend of mine out there, like a second mom, Piggy Virgie. Y'all heard me talk about her before, and there was a situation that occurred. And her ex-husband, staff sergeant, the base general, liked to have Virgie as a personal waitress at a lot of functions. And her ex, that staff sergeant, he caused some mess, and had me in a little bit of trouble. Virgie went and talked to the base general, told him what was up. Well, her ex and those in my unit that had anything to do with it, they got called by the base general for a meeting. Oh yeah, and he was a 3-star. I imagine that did not go too well for them. I'm certainly glad I wasn't able to fly on the wall for that. That ain't no two ways about it. That was ugly. You see, some of her ex-husband's actions put her son in jeopardy. So yeah, y'all do the math on that. So yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, Belinda, sounds scary? Yes, it was scary. I mean, you've seen those little military jeeps, little M151A. Up top, they ain't got nothing solid. You flip, you're just done. I was going sideways as much as I was going down, and maybe a little bit more sideways than I was actually going down, but I had enough down to be able to make it before I went sideways. But that was definitely scary. But it was a lesson learned. I should have found little bit different way to go up that hill, so I could have gotten up further and had a more direct, centered route back down. Yeah, Joe, they do, but that's all right. It's all good in the end. Round at Vineyard Farmhouse. Howdy. Yeah, I had some interesting times in the Corps. Of course, I also had some times when there was some that sung to the tune of a different flavor, and I didn't know about such things. I got a few stories on that too. Right. And that's what we go to them for. We just like having fun with it. Yeah, if we're in one, if we happen to win something great, it's not great. I mean, we're just there for the fun of it. But there are some that will forsake all else in order to try to get something for free. But, yeah, the Marine Corps, it was a good time. There was some funny situations, bad situations, learning situations. And even though it was in the desert, you know, as much time as I spent out in the desert, because I spent most of my time in the field, you know, I learned how to see the beauty of the desert. You can't look at it just looking. You have to either see it from far off or from very up close. That's how you see the beauty of the desert. Uh, if not for the political winds the way they are and expensive things and all like that, I would have no problem with living in the desert. It's a beautiful place if you know how to look at it. And I guess that's life. It's all a beautiful thing if you know how to look at it. Yeah, there are terrible things. Skip Jackson Day!
Hi, Cindy.
In life, there are a lot of terrible things, but life overall is a beautiful thing if you know how to look at it, and you know how to perceive it. Yeah, it matters not what's happening to you, you know, uh, because it's all just part of life. You know, it's this way for some, that way for some, the other way for some. You got to. It's like Elaine's mama said. How would I know a good day if I didn't have bad days? And kind of like having a sweet treat. Yeah, if you have all good days, you know, then it's no longer special. If there's not some struggle to make you strive to bring the best out in you, you know, then you don't know what it is to have a good day. With the dessert, you wouldn't know what it is to have a sweet treat because it's become commonplace and you have it all the time. You have it all the time, and it's no longer special. And it takes a lot out of it that way. So life is you go through a whole lot of struggle, a whole lot of adversity. And then on those days that are good days, you know it to be a good day. And it's special because it was a good day. I tell folks, y'all know, I tell folks, I'm going to have a great day every day, even on my worst day, because I got to live through it anyhow. So I might as well smile about it. This is going to happen over here, and this is going to happen over here, and this is going to happen in front of you over here, and this is going to happen back behind you over here. They're bad things, but at the same time, there might be something good come out of that bad. And we never know one way or another whether or not. So we just, like all things, we leave that in God's hands because God orchestrates the whole thing. And sadly and unfortunately, there are bad things that have to happen in order for the overall program to be fulfilled. Yeah. The Marine Corps was a love-hate thing. Just while we was in there, we called it the big green weenie. And you know what a weenie likes to do? It likes to screw you over in the worst way. And we always call it the big green weenie because it was always bending you over one way or another. But what saddened me was the amount of people that were there not to serve their country, but for the benefits they could get for being in there. Yeah, I could have done the GI Bill. I could have put in for a lot of other things. I could have done all the book work that a lot of them were doing to get meritorious promotions and all that. But I wasn't in it for that. I was in it to serve my country so those I love wouldn't have to. You know, it was also a death wish because I thought it was a sure way to meet your death. Yeah, but I didn't go to any conflicts. I was never in battles or any of that. I was strictly in during peacetime. And so I didn't get to die in glory like I had hoped. That wasn't God's plan for me. So He made sure that I was not in the line of fire of anything. You know, by being fapped out to TWECG and not being sent overseas or being in any skirmishes or conflicts or any of that. True, Linda, and it's for life. I would still defend this nation. But there's not much of this nation left. Because you got a lot of other countries that own this nation, literally. That's one of the reasons why we get a lot of things taken away. And everything. But if it still came down to it, I'd still get out there. I've told many of the folks when it was on Facebook and I was involved in that side of things, I just tell them I can't do much. Get me a good long rifle, set me up on a hill with plenty of tea and cigars. And when you can't hear me doing anything else, you know I've done all I can do. Because in the Marine Corps, I'm qualified expert with the M16A1, A2, the 45, and the 9mm. I could do some damage. Not that I would want to. And I think that's another thing that God spared me from was because He knows how I view life. And I had the strength that I could have done a lot of damage that way too. But I couldn't stand the thought of I cherish life and I couldn't stand the thought of taking life away from someone else. And so if I had to do that, it probably would have wrecked me 10 times worse than what I already am psychologically. And hard enough time getting over some of the stuff I've gotten over. Doing something like that, I don't think I would have been able to get over. Yeah, because even though it might be war, you're defending yourself against others. Yeah, who am I to decide who's to die? I'm not the one to make that decision. All right, Tish, you run. Just don't run too hard. We'll see you next time. Seen it, heard about it, thought about it. No. Uh, I'll check it out and see what they're saying. Uh, and the two doing it are some good men. I think they're good men. So I'd have to see, what it's going to be. But uh, for someone like me, I'm a warrior. And I was a warrior. I would have done what I had to do. At the fuel sticks thing, I've told y'all about that big guy I had to fight in the last fuel stick fight. I went in, and when I saw the guy, Dale, how you doing? Thank you, Dale. But as far as that, I'll tell you what I told a young man yesterday. I think it was yesterday, might have been the day before. Because he'd seen my hat that I'm wearing now. And he said, thank you for your service, Devil Dog. I looked at him, or he said, sir, and mentioned Devil Dog and all that. He shook my hand and everything. He's a young man. And I'll tell you, like I told him, it was an honor for me to have had the privilege to have been able to serve, especially as a Marine. I had asthma and other defects going on with me. It was a miracle I made it through boot camp, much less through the FMF. But I did. I know that had to be God pulling off a miracle. But even as I ran, it was someplace that God had for me to be for a reason. Right, Adventure America, I understand. Dale, I hope you get feeling better. Are you still gonna have your devotional tonight? But but for me, that's what it was. It was an honor to have the privilege. Like I said, I'm a warrior. You know, that last people stick fight, I knew I wouldn't win, but I went in anyway, and I gave it all. You know, and that's what my DIs saw, and that's what they were wanting to see was whether or not there was a Marine in this heart or not. Because they knew I could give a punch, I'd knock them out. All right, Mama Bear, you take care. All right, Dale, we'll be praying for you on that. Are you getting ready to go get ready? Uh, but my service, just like trying to serve the Lord, is a very personal thing. It's a warrior thing. It's not something you can really explain to anybody. It's uh, the thank yous and all that are nice. And they're appreciated, but they're not necessary. I did something I knew I had to do. As a warrior, I did what I knew I had to do. And, had it come down to a wartime situation, as much as I cherish life, I would have done what I had to do, dealt with the consequences later. That's what I've always done. That's what a warrior does. And in this life, especially if you're trying to serve God, that's what this life is. It is a warrior's life. As I've said, to serve God is not a bed of roses. It's not you go get saved and all of a sudden life is peachy king. No, that's when the battle starts. Everything prior to that is easy street. No matter how bad things may be, it's easy street. The battle begins when you become to serve God, when you choose God. That's when the battle actually begins. Because people are going to throw your past at you. People are going to throw how you've been at you. They're not going to see it as I see it. Don't tell me who you were. show me who you are. I don't care about who you were unless you are still who you used to be. And even then, I'm still going to love on you because that's your choice. But I'm more interested in who a person is today than who they was yesterday. Who you was yesterday, you know, might have been crap falling out of a cow's butt. But who are you today? Yeah, you struggling with it. And if you've chosen God, you're fighting that battle even more so because who are you today? I know you ain't the same person as you was yesterday. I know you got battles going on. You got things that you're thinking inside your mind. And the reason I know that is because I do. Who am I to tell somebody this? Well, I'm not good enough to tell somebody this. I'm not this and I'm not that. No, but God said I'm a child of His. I'm going to do what He says for me to do. And by that, I'm going to do it. Not for me or myself, but because that's what my God says do. Even if I don't like it. That's where the sacrifices and obedience come in. But you don't like it, you don't understand it, you don't see how it can help anything or do anything. But God said do it. You know, Jonah and the whale, he didn't want to go preach to Nineveh because they were sworn enemies. From birth, sworn enemies. You know, like, how dare God ask me to go preach to them for allow them a chance at repentance and forgiveness when they've been like this to me? Well, it's because you don't understand everything that's going on. Well, in the end, he wound up going and preaching to Nineveh, and they were saved because they repented. Jonah still didn't like it, but it didn't matter what he liked or didn't like. He did what God said for him to do. Yeah, so don't tell me who you are. Don't talk to me about who you are. Tell me who you are now. That's who I want to know. If I do find out about things from way back and all like that, it tells me the path that God had you on to lead you to Him in the first place. I ain't going to hold that against you either. But be real, be legit, be honest about it. If you're in it for the attention and recognition you get from others, you playing the wrong song. Because that'll soon get found out too. Don't be a fake. Because God has a tendency to show me who is and who ain't. You know, it's an amazing thing. The Holy Ghost will tell you. The Holy Ghost will show you. The Holy Ghost will show you stuff and say, well, part A here and part C here do not go together without part B here in the middle. Part B is missing. What's up? And the Holy Ghost will bring that to your mind. So you'll be able to tell.
Running in 20 minutes.
Yeah, Linda, that's what it's like. One of my corporals who re-up and became a sergeant, he was a big man, big black man. We was out in the field one time. Somebody shot their M16 off in the wrong direction and wound up going through his thigh. He's up walking around on it the next day, about like a bee sting. Big man. I used to sleep beside the tank while it was doing fire drills. Wake up, my buddies be like, telling me about You didn't hear that? Hear what? Man, they're doing live fire drills. There was. I wasn't 10, 15 feet away from the track of the tank. Sawing some serious logs. I was tired. I slept. That thing, kaboom, didn't faze me a bit. There was one that did faze me once. We got parked in one spot, going to camp out for the night. I was a loner. I didn't like being around a lot of people a lot. I decided to get up on the hood of the 5-ton, spread my sleeping bag out. I went to sleep on the hood of that 5-ton because there was more hood of 5-ton than there was height of me. So it was perfect bed. Until the middle of the night when I had to get up and go find some place to pee. I had forgot that I was on top of the hood of a 5-ton. So I went walking off and it went, woo! Head came about that close from hitting a rock. All right. Well, that would have done it. Another time driving along the desert, I had a staff sergeant. He was a tech in our shop. And there was tank rounds going off. But 100 or 200 feet away, one landed real close to us, about 100 or 200 feet away. Shook the Jeep while we was driving along. That staff sergeant, he turned sideways in his seat, like, oh my God. I was like, what? You didn't hear or feel that? I said, well, I felt something rock the Jeep a little bit, but other than that, no, what was it? He said, tank round just hit us right over there. You could tell it had scared the fuck out of him. Didn't faze me a bit. I looked at it like this. If it's my time, it's my time. I mean, what can you do about it? Ain't no reason to get scared about it. It'll either happen or it won't happen, or it'll happen only to a certain degree. You know, if it's your time, it's your time. God has the reins on that. So, you know, why am I going to be scared of it? Ain't nothing I can do about it. You know, so, you know. Well, I've yacked and yacked. My clock on the wall is about 5 minutes behind. I might have to put a new battery in it or put something different up there.
Yeah, it's almost 15 now.
So maybe we'll talk about this more some other time. Somebody brings it up, I'm sure I'll get spurred into jacking my jaw about it. But in the meantime, we'll all pray for Dale and go over to his devotional here in a few minutes. Have you got a link up there?
I've already put the link in the comments. I can do another one real quick.
Yeah, so y'all go ahead and go on over there and tell him I sent you. Because we love him and we're praying for him. And I'll wait for her to get that in there again in case you ain't got it. If you want to go over there. I'll give it another couple of minutes for that to get set in.
Okay, I've got it in there.
All right. Well, the thing is, it ain't been that long since I put new batteries in this thing. I got a digital clock sitting in there in the bedroom that I might bring in here and utilize in here. Because it ain't doing me no good in there for the purpose I'd wanted it for. All right, Mrs. Margaret. You take care.
Everybody have a good evening.
All right. If y'all got it, I'm going to get with it. Piggy loves you.